And we are live.
Yes, we are live.
We having a little bit of technical difficulties today.
Yeah, we're doing good. Yeah. All right. How's everyone doing out there?
Welcome
Is
to
there
our
anybody out there?
live stream with Perspective Shift.
Yeah.
Today is what are we? Monday, April 7th, and we appreciate anybody jumping in to chat with us today. We're going to be jumping on live every first Monday of the month here on Perspective Shift. We thought it's a fun way for us to kind of just dive into things, be able to chat, live with anybody who's listening in. You can share, reach out with questions or just join us afterwards, because any of these live episodes, we keep the recordings, we put them on our channel, Perspective Shift now on YouTube, and then of course we have them on our Spotify accounts, Apple podcasts, all the above.
Yeah, pretty much anywhere.
Yep. Anywhere you can find a stream. So today will be nice and fun. We're kicking things off. Frank and I were chit-chatting about what topic we wanted to kind of dive into today. So, Frank, where do you want to kind of start things off? Why don't we start?
Well, a lot of times we get down into this understanding of the spirituality and all the things we're talking about, and we take it too serious. So we're going to bring it back to being fun, because getting back to the childlike state where children didn't go to the playground to find a friend. They just happened to find their best friend.
I love it.
So we're going to bring it back to that. And when you actually let go, because it's all about letting go of what it is you think you have to do, because we don't, because everything that we think we have to do has already been done. So we're trying to reinvent the wheel, and that will never work. You could, you put armor all on the tire to make it shinier, but it's still a wheel. Mm-hmm. So the more we learn to let go and have fun with this, you actually fall into these states. And when you fall into these states, you start to see things prior to them coming. That's where our psychic abilities come. I was telling Mike a story, and this happens a lot to me. It happens a lot to a lot of people. Maybe you recognize it as something that's miraculous, or you just don't even think about it. But the other night, my wife and I were sitting on the couch, and she's like, "Hey, we should watch like an older movie." Mm-hmm. She's getting a little like nostalgic, whatever. I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't care. Or a TV show. And what popped into my mind was Happy Days. I grew up
the sitcom
in this. Yeah, I grew up in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And I didn't say it out loud. That's, because I'm thinking like, I really don't want to watch Happy Days, but it popped into my head. And I can't even recall what we ended up watching. But the next day we're at the gym, and my gym has a bunch of TVs on there. It's usually sports and stuff like that. And have I don't even know why they have TV shows on at the gym. I'm like working out.
Yeah, totally.
But anyway, I look up, and I've been going to this gym for a while. There was an episode of Happy Days on. Now,
talk about synchronistic.
Yeah. So the way you look at it, it's like, okay, did I create that, or did I fall into the field knowing this was going to happen? It's more of that. So because I really didn't care what we watched that night, I slip into this field, and what it is when that happens, like the synchronistic part of it, it lets you know you're in this perfect state that you want to be in. It's letting go and watch, and then you get these little winks from the universe, such as seeing it happen. Like it's nothing really miraculous. Mm-hmm. But then we don't want to mistake it with, okay, if I could do that with Happy Days, let me think about like $1 million. I'm like, I wasn't thinking about Happy Days. It popped into my head because it was for showing me what was about to come down the pike. And because I was in that field of just completely letting go, it was in the evening and what have you, I slipped into that. And one of the nuggets I've seen for the next day was the episode. And I'm like, laughed at it. So it reminds me to keep letting go, and everything that's supposed to be part and parcel of my story, that what we're telling here, will show up.
Yeah.
Just trust it. All right. And that's kind of like within the field of, say, like a law of attraction. You're attracting the field where you're putting yourself in the field. And then whatever's in the field, when you get to that party, it will produce itself what's at the party. You don't have to take it with us. You don't have to try to guess what it is. Just go there.
I love how you said you didn't care. And that the I don't care feeling, that state, that neutral state of if it happens, if it doesn't happen, that's how we draw experiences to us. That's how we start really flowing with this reality, if you will.
Yeah.
Everything that whenever I'm trying so hard to make something happen, it's like it's counterintuitive or counterproductive. I'm actually repelling this situation away from me. And it's the moment that, I don't quote care anymore. I let go, I detach, and then things start to show up.
Yeah, it's because as we're talking, and this we're bringing up, it's learning to trust the system. When you trust the system, you literally have fun with it. Just like if you go into the, say, Disneyland, you trust that all the rides are running and they're operational. So therefore you go and have fun. But if you like you don't trust it, you're gonna go there pretty, shut down. And then you're gonna find little things.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna go through the park. You're at the park, you're physically there, but you're not enjoying it because you
Mhm.
don't trust that everything will go as planned. So it's not that the things need to go as planned. It's that you don't trust the system at all.
Well, I like too that you brought up like the psychic aspect of this, because every single one of us out there is psychic. We just
Yeah.
we don't tap into this field, and we're in the thinking time, the thinking mind too much to pick up on, that we're getting these subtle hints and we're interacting with the field all day long. And Marissa, thanks for reaching out about the question with the remote viewing. That ties into what, Frank and I are talking about right here. During the remote viewing class, one of the things that the instructor, Joe McMonagle, said to us is, he said, anyone who is a remote viewer who remote views, they are psychic. And he's like, it's funny, remote viewers are psychic, but psychics necessarily aren't remote viewers. That
Yeah.
was something he shared with our class. And because what he's talking about is getting into this relaxed, I don't care state, this, experience. And then from there, being able to pick up on, what's going on, or put ourselves in a time space, point that we would like to visit or like to experience. And so I like that you brought that question up, Marissa, because remote viewing ties into this psychic phenomena that we can all experience on a regular basis once we relax. We're so caught up in this thinking beta brainwave mind state, high beta, I got to get this done. And if this doesn't happen, I won't be happy. In order for me to achieve happiness, I need to find, I need this experience to happen. And we twist ourselves into these pretzels, and we're trading off, one set of old bad experience or habits or stories just for a new set of stories. But now it's a spiritual set of stories. Frank and I were talking about that before we went on air. We should talk about that a little bit, because we we ultimately, when you get on the path and you start to figure this out, right, you're changing one set of stories now for what you would ultimately classify as a new set of stories, but from a spiritual perspective. I get up, I'm going to meditate for X amount of time, I'm going to say this many affirmations, I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to, anytime my mind goes elsewhere, I'm going to bring it back. And so we're creating a new box, a new set of rules, and we're keeping ourselves stuck, essentially. So this episode of Perspective Shift, this live episode, we wanted to talk about, it's detaching from all of that.
Yeah. It's like you traded a prison that was coated with rust for a prison that's coated with gold.
Yeah, exactly.
You're still in prison, by the way.
A new
Yeah,
mental
because
prison.
after a while, the gold bars will start looking like the rusted bars, and that's really what it is. We want to free ourselves from that. So, understanding that we're experiencing a dualistic world, but we're actually coming from the non-duality, and it's like sitting back and understand that. Just like an actor goes in to play a role, they want to fully develop the role and get into it, but they also realize in the back end that they aren't that character.
Mhm.
And so we have to remember that. And then we go into the role, fully play it. That's where the fun is. Like, when I go to a play and the curtain rises, I see the wood cutouts of everything's on that's representing of a house or whatever vehicle or whatever it is on the play, because that's how they put everything on the stage. But somewhere along the line, when the actors come out and the music's playing and everything's pulled in, you forget that you're looking at a stage. You feel like you're immersed in real reality, what we call reality. And then when the scene ends, you clap because you realize I was pulled in so far, I forgot I was sitting in an auditorium looking at people on stage with fake cutouts.
And we all know that feeling from
Yeah.
sitting in a movie theater, where
Yeah.
you get so enthralled and pulled into the movie,
Yeah.
you forget you're in a theater watching it.
And this life is meant to do that. So have fun with it. Don't get upset because you got pulled into it. Get excited that you got pulled into it. But no, in the end, that's not who we are. We're in the world, but we're not of it.
Mhm.
And this is what helps loosens up, become more childlike. We want to have fun with this stuff. We want to make this serious. Whenever I go to these um, um, retreats, whatever, there's a lot more laughter than you think going on.
Yeah.
Like it's like going to a comedy club,
Mhm.
and it's just letting go of the energy. And when I bring stuff up, or other people bring stuff up that we get so intense about, people tend to laugh because they were holding on so tight. And we let go is this release of energy that comes out of our body. We let go every day. The release energy levels us up to a different state, a different frequency, and in that frequency is the newness. So one could actually say Einstein was always in these states, and he remote viewed equals MC squared.
Mhm.
Now, no one else had done it before. So even when he brought it to his peers in the peer review, they didn't really have a basis of anything he built upon. It was completely new. But then when they tried to dissect it, everything was perfectly there. So that's what we're talking about. So when you talk about remote viewing, this is another way to do it. It's go into a higher level of frequency that you and maybe humanity's never been before.
Yeah.
But don't worry about humanity. Just put your attention onto letting go and watching you learn something, right?
Mhm.
Because when you've heard a particular song for the first time, that was the first time you've ever heard that song. Now the song could have came out 10 years ago.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It was the first time you heard that song. And that's what we want to keep doing. But the first time I heard the song, if I lock in if I lock in the prison of this song made me feel this way, good luck with that. Because after the 10th time that day, it's not going to award you that feeling.
Mhm.
Let go of that. Let it drift off because it'll never go anywhere.
Well, what's interesting too is we're in a constant state of letting go, but we don't acknowledge that. In fact, like this human experience, it's more like how much can we collect? I'm collecting a partner, I'm collecting a family, I'm collecting money, I'm collecting a job. We're always like gathering. And so like letting go is uncomfortable sometimes or detaching from these types of experiences. And you see this all the time with families, like as kids grow up, and then they go off to college, these empty nesters. It we're in this forever evolving state of letting go of things. We can't hold on to all of our money. We can't hold on to every meal that we want to eat. We can't hold on to everything, but we're always grasping as if we're afraid to let go of it. And it feels so freeing when we flow with life, knowing that more abundance is to come. And yeah, this is a whole different way of looking at life, because no longer are you coming from a place of lack. We've been raised and taught our whole lives like, oh, you better have insurance for that. Did you study enough for that test? I don't know if that's going to work out with your friend group today or whatever. And so we're always trying to put these like stop gaps in place, so the unknowns that could happen will be fine, rather than, like, one of my favorite quotes is, the bird isn't afraid about the branch breaking when he lands because of its wings. We want to be like that bird. We want to know that no matter what the situation, this experience, this world, this reality, this abundance, it's got our back. And when you're living from a place like that, it's a totally different space, because you're not looking for the worst in things. Whatever's to come, you're fine, you're grounded, and you'll have an experience from it. Will it be great? Maybe. Will it be filled with sorrow or suffering? Maybe. But from that is a great experience, and you're going to grow with it. So it's kind of like this: I'm okay if I have it, okay if I don't, knowing that the world is always working in my favor. And when you're coming from a place knowing that the world is always working in your favor, what do you experience? More of the world working in your favor.
Yeah. So if you take it, the part of your life and that's working for you, and this is where the understanding gratitude comes in, and give your attention just to that, just for a moment, because you don't want to hold on to that as well. And notice things have always working out. But because we have these preconceived notions that this is supposed to happen today, or by the end of this year or in 5 years this goal must achieve in it. And if it's not popping up the way I picture it in my mind, we start to grab onto the idea, different ideas. And one of them, this doesn't work. This sucks.
Yep.
There's something wrong with me. All right. Or I have to work harder. So you start working harder at this. So you're grabbing onto those branches even tighter. So even if the branch breaks, you're still going down with it. But as you're falling out of the tree, your hand is still gripped around the branch. That's not going to help you. So we want to completely loosen up, let go of everything. But no, when you let go of something, it doesn't disappear. You just don't carry it with you. Just like because of technology today, no one, seldom does anyone carry money with them. Like, oh, I have a credit card. Like, well, my credit card's on my phone now, right? Some people have it on a watch now. So I don't carry it with me. I certainly don't want to carry it in my mind and keep thinking about it because that will keep flowing in and out of our life. So when we start to look at the world today with technology, it's showing us letting go is the best thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love this comment right here. That's been my affirmation lately. Everything is working out in my favor. And Marissa agreed. She said, mine too. It's unfolding perfectly.
Yep.
Coming from that space is so different than I need to say these 12 affirmations every morning. I have to meditate for 26 minutes. I need to, go do this. You're not putting yourself in a box. You're allowing life to flow. And that is very special. And you're coming from a place of neutrality, which is, hey, everything is unfolding exactly how I need. You're not telling the world how it needs to happen. You're actually flowing with this space, knowing that what's coming your way is abundance in every aspect of life, in your love life, in your financial life, your workspace, your friends, your family. You're coming from a state of abundance. And that abundance is what changes how you experience this reality.
Yeah. And if you come from a place of understanding, we've talked about this a lot, whether you believe in this or not, but just if you don't, just open your mind to it, that we signed like a soul contract coming into this world. And in the contract was, I guess there was specific things, but we forget what they were. The reason you don't remember what they were because you haven't experienced them yet. Just like an actor that's taking on a role that's moving onto a set hasn't been on the set yet to even see the set. But they get the script, comes across their table, and they read it and like, okay, I want to sign on for this. That's kind of what happens here. So as we get to, say, I get to the movie set, and I go to wardrobe, and they start giving me, rags because I realized I signed on to be a homeless person. And I'm using this as a great example, like a very, contrast example.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, no, I want to be a rich guy in a Ferrari. And it's like, no, that's not the role you signed on for. Now, as an actor, why do you care if you're the homeless person opposed to the rich guy? It doesn't really matter, especially for the craft of what you're trying to do, because there have been many people who won the Academy Award playing a homeless person. Jamie Foxx did it, playing the celloist underneath some bridge.
Oh, yeah.
So you came here to experience something to build up the soul. So have fun with it. Like you can have fun playing a homeless person. All right. Now, if you're not a homeless person right now, it isn't part and parcel of your story. So don't worry about being homeless. That's the funny thing. Stop worrying about somebody else's character.
We'll be at home going, I don't want to be the homeless guy.
Yeah.
Don't worry. That's not part and parcel
what
to
Mike
this
and
experience.
I are talking about is when you let go and fully immerse yourself in the present moment, you become, immerse yourself in it. Everything will show up because the studio will give me everything I need to portray, because if I was going to be a multimillionaire or something like that, it would give me a penthouse in New York City, a limo driver, because I don't want a car there because you can't drive, especially a Ferrari would be useless in freaking in Manhattan. But anyway, so everything is given to you in that moment, and you act with it. But it doesn't mean it's better than the other characters I played for 1,000 lifetimes or 2,000 lifetimes. And when we're going through this, we start to learn these little nuggets. Just like when I was a child, I went to the playground not knowing there was even a playground. And the things I've learned, picked up, and kept with me was immense. But then there was a point where I'm like, oh, I have fun when I'm at the playground, not in school. Like that is a judgment there. And like, because we thought the fun, the opening of the heart came from the playground. It didn't. My heart was open. I just happened to be at the playground. So in this field of having fun, we want to put the horse in front of the cart, not the cart in front of the horse, like most people have been doing. So working hard. I'm like, no, sit back, get yourself to a nice level of energy by letting go. So when you breathe, the reason breathing works is when you breathe in, you have to breathe in. It creates will to breathe in, but there's no will breathing out. And that's letting go. So people are like, how do I let go? I'm like, breathe in. All right. Hold it as long as you can, or just let it go. Like, that's how you let go. Like, what do you mean? What did your body feel like?
It's like no longer tense.
Yeah. You're letting the energy flow through. So when you get into that state, when you notice you're not in that state and a thought pops up, people try to mitigate this with other thoughts. I'm like, stop it. Even if you try to have a positive thought, isn't going to really help.
Mhm.
Breathe. And then what you'll notice, positive thoughts pop up.
Exactly.
Follow those or let go of those as well. But stay in the present moment. And all of a sudden you'll see things come into your world. And then you, just like a great actor, waits for their cue to speak. They don't just blur it out over speak everyone else. And then the doing becomes natural, comes a flow, just like musicians playing in a band. Once the count is 1, 2, boom, they go in, then it just naturally happens. And that's how life is. It's a dance. It's a fun dance, not a miserable dance.
I like how Sarah brings this up in the chat. She says, she's talking about how Kayla always talks about you came here to play in the 3D. So I've been working on taking off the pressure when unfavorable circumstances occur. And I'm here to have fun. I'm here to learn my own power. Sarah, that's exactly taking back your own power.
And ask yourself, what is unfavorable about the circumstance? And I mean this wholeheartedly. Why are circumstances unfavorable? Like, why don't we like them? That's the moment we'll dive into that. Like, this is where self-inquiry comes. Why is this a problem? Because if you live in a world where this is good and this is bad, you're stuck in a dualistic world. And statistically, when they do these studies, if you took a quarter and flipped it 100 times, it's going to roughly be out 50-50. So the way I say is, early in your life, you'll mostly get heads, and tails being negative, right? We notify as negative. Then there's going to be a period of life around 40s where it all comes up negative. But if you step out of that and have fun with it, there aren't and the circumstance that hits you, that's a gift showing you there's something here I need to address. An unwanted belief, a trauma that's stuck in my body, something that I need to let go of. That's when that happens. Then when you let go of it, that situation is no longer tragic. It just is now. It's just as neutral as anything else.
I know what you mean, because I started doing this when unfavorable situations started happening to me. I began to look at it from a favorable perspective. What is this coming up to show me? Why does this feel uncomfortable? Why does this feel awkward? Why does this feel off? And it was in that I learned more about myself. So this unfavorable situation now turned into something favorable.
Yep.
And so perspective is absolutely everything. So what we're labeling as unfavorable, or what we're labeling as non-preferential, in that moment, we can take the sting out of it by simply looking for the positive, or looking for the good.
Well, find out why. You really want to recognize why, because you don't want to suppress this. I want to why is this bothering me? All right. Someone said something to me. Why is this bothering me? Because what they said I might believe. Why do you believe that? And you keep going why. When you start to go why, these things bubble up and your heart starts to open up. Then the perspective changes. Yeah. So really take it in, like sit with the pain, if you will. All right. Because it's making you present, and that's the great thing. But if pain comes up, and I could go scrolling on Instagram or whatever, I could distract it, just shove it down. We don't want to do that anymore. We want to bring it up. So why is this bothering me? What about it? And then when you're doing self-inquiry, all of a sudden you realize, because there's things that bothered you years ago that don't bother you anymore, because at some point, without you may not even realize it, you let go of it. But there's some rooted things that we're not letting go. So when something hits you, That's the moment of self-examination. Why? And like, don't try to fake it. What? Yes, this hurts. I'm not lying. This hurts. Why does it hurt? And you keep asking why, and you'll have an excuse of why. Because someone talked about me. I don't like what they said. This is not true about me. Why do you care about what they think? Because all of a sudden you get down to the point when you start asking these why questions, you start to see the ridiculousness of it. Because
Mhm.
we're just making up stories. So all the beliefs we have are made up stories.
Correct.
The object, if there is an object, is to get rid of all beliefs, or I should say, let go, because you can't get rid of anything.
Mhm.
You can let go of it. When I let go of a belief, if I need it, I could pick it up. But really, what we're looking for in ultimate is knowing, and then with that knowing, heading into the unknown. The unknown is where the fun is,
Yeah.
because everyone that wants that thing doesn't have it. So therefore, it's unknown to them. Right. But most of us are imagining things that maybe not part and parcel of our story. And that keeps us in purgatory. So you don't have it, but you want it, but you don't have it. That's what they call in Catholicism, they call it purgatory. You don't die and go sit in this purgatory place. You're doing it right here.
Mhm.
So let go of it. Let go of it. If it's meant to come your way, and as time goes on, you get better at discerning whether this is part of your story or some celebrity convinced you that you need this purse.
Yeah.
Like, you may need the purse. The purse might be part of your story. There's nothing wrong with these things. Mike and I are not ever talking anyone out of experiencing a 20,000 square foot home, multi-million dollar home. But at the same time, if you're in a 400 square foot apartment, absolutely great. Who cares? Because the occupancy in that is you. You're the spirit.
I love it, sir. Said,
Yeah.
put that on a T-shirt. The unknown is where the fun is. And that's exactly it.
Yeah.
You're learning to now
Yeah.
create with the field. Not judge it, not label it, but be one with it. What's happening is gonna happen. It's gonna flow, and I know I'm on my highest and best path.
Yeah, and some
I
of these,
know it's working
yeah,
out
and
in my
that's why some
favor.
of the modalities we've talked about, everything from breath work to meditation. I know Kayla does the hypnotherapy.
Yep.
These modalities, what they're doing is helping us to let go. So, like, if you sit with a session with Kayla, she's going to walk you through something. You don't even realize you're letting go of it, and all of a
Exactly.
sudden you come out of it, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, like you let go of a lot. It was like purging.
Hmm.
And also, I'm like, that actually, the experience of letting go was a joyous experience. And then, people like, what comes after? I'm like, who cares what comes after? The experience itself. And then, but what happens is when you let go, it's like you're a hot air balloon. It's not that we don't have heat in the balloon, it's that we're tethered to the ground and we're meant to fly. So we want to start snipping those cords, those tether cords. Now, again, wherever you are in your journey, snip them carefully.
Hmm.
That's why I do self-inquiry. Don't haphazardly cut something. In question, do I need this? What is this doing for me? And really go deep. And you realize, I really don't need this, but I can let go of it. But it doesn't mean it's going to disappear. When I let go of it, I just like, in order for me to go on vacation, I have to let go of my house. I don't take anything with me except for a suitcase full of stuff.
Hmm.
Even at some point, like a couple of times where I've like just jumped, I I got in my car and jumped in an airplane just with a credit card, and I bought everything there. And then I left it there because I didn't want to buy a suitcase.
I didn't want to bring it
But it
back.
was a simple type of thing. But I'm like, there was something freeing about that.
That is free.
But where I went, everything I needed was there. So I wasn't doing without. Right? There's nothing wrong with packing a suitcase either. It's kind of like these little games I like to play,
Yeah,
Um,
you're playing with the field.
yeah, playing with the field, and everything works out. It always does. So again, yes, you may have a backpack, but lighten it up. All right. The backpack is good to store stuff that you need in the moment in which you're in. But hey, if I'm carrying a week's worth of food in my backpack, unless I'm going out into the wilderness, I'm like,
Mhm.
why would you do that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think too, for like me on my journey, one thing that was like very helpful in this space was Muji helped teach me this. Muji's a great, you should listen to his lectures if you haven't tuned into Muji stuff.
Yeah,
But
it's like a meditation. Just listen to him.
it
Yeah.
really is. But what he helped me understand was we're all really living in our heads, and we should be living in our hearts.
Yes.
And that was a big thing for me because I was thinking about everything all the time, and I was trying, and I was forcing, and I was, very, very rattled. It was always coming from a place of thought and like, wait, what about this? And did I forget, this part? And it was this constant state of back and forth in the mind. But when you're living from the heart, it's totally different. You go by how something feels. Does this feel right? Does this feel good? I like this. I'm going to continue. And so like, it was weird. Over the weekend, I saw this statistic, and I'm sure everyone's heard this, but the number one killer in Western culture, like in Western society, first is heart cancer. Then it goes, or excuse me, heart disease, and then it goes cancer. So heart disease is the number one killer in Western society. Well, why is that? And the science and people will tell you, oh, it's because of the food we eat and this. And I'm not saying that's not the case, but on a greater scale, if you zoom out, heart disease is because we are not living from the heart.
We should, yeah, because if you look at it like an energy center, so
Mhm.
what we want to do is connect the mind to the heart.
Yeah.
Because the heart feels, the mind thinks, and what it thinks can change the way the heart feels. So if you look at the mind as its operating system that shutters, closes, and opens the heart,
Mhm.
and if you're starting to live in the mind based on previous experience of what may happen, you wonder why this thing never opens at will.
Yeah.
But when we start to do like little exercise, like you breathe in and breathe out. So the mechanical aspect of breathing in is when you breathe out, your heart stretches, right? And
Mhm.
the heart rate goes up. And then when you breathe out, it shrinks and the heart rate goes down. So when we actually slow down the heart rate, the heart starts to open a little bit more.
Yeah.
So now I'm taking myself out of my mind, bringing it to my body, because the body is what feels, right? The mind is what explores. And if I connect the two together, it's a beautiful, it's like two great musicians coming together.
Yeah.
But you could have two amazing musicians playing out of tune, out of key, and it will sound like
Total crap.
crap to the audience.
Yeah.
And the audience is your witnesser to everything,
Yeah.
right? The I
Good
am.
analogy.
And that's who we really are. You got to remember, like when you say I'm tired, I'm not feeling good, I'm happy, who knows that? That in which knows that isn't that. There's an observer inside of us. So when the observer sees you, have this conversation about like a coworker in your head and it's driving you crazy, you can feel your heart's, you know, shut it down. Just noticing you're having that conversation makes it dissipate.
Mhm.
You don't have to do anything. You just notice you're doing that.
That's what
Steps you
awareness
back.
is.
Yeah, being aware and watching a movie. I'm not in the movie. Saves me from being killed because it's a war movie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just that simple awareness.
And it's funny, we get so pulled in, but to this role, to this character, this ego identity that we've developed, things are coming at us a million miles an hour. We've got a million notifications on our phone. We've got a ton of family events, ton of, work events, all sorts of stuff. The world's happening a million miles an hour. But when you zoom out from there, um, it, it changes the whole dynamic of the stress. And the more we zoom out, the more we have this level of awareness, the more we realize and see that everything is all good. And when we're really in the character and we're going through the humdrum of daily life or everything, that's when we're really locked into the thinking mind. And the more we zoom out is the more we're coming from that heart, the place of knowing, that place of whatever's happening is happening for a reason. This happening is, I'm abundant in every aspect of life, and I'm going to learn to flow with this experience. You're now coming from a totally different place of categorization, labeling, judging, which is what the analytical thinking mind does. The heart is a more open space of knowing, understanding, um, and this it's like a larger expansive place that you're coming from, where the mind is more narrowed. And so when Frank's talking about connecting the mind and the heart, this is when we really get locked in, and we're manifesting things like effortlessly. And it's because we're coming from a place of, I don't need to have it, That's not something I must do. It's coming from a neutral space, and it's in that neutral space that spontaneity happens and miracles happen, and we enjoy and flow with life.
Yeah, because when you're doing something you enjoy, notice you don't want to stop doing it, and then ask yourself, what about this thing that I'm doing that's enjoying? Is it the actual act, or is it the state my body's in, the state my mind's in? And when those two are together, because you could be talking to a friend about like nonsensical stuff and having fun, even though it's not going to change the world. And that's the most beautiful moment in time. But what it was is when you're open, because like if I'm having a conversation with somebody, right? And they start talking, I lose myself in it, but then I'm like, oh, I got to be somewhere. All of a sudden, I could shut my heart down and feel the brakes go on, right? Rather than trusting the system and going along with it and watch this conversation just naturally fall to the wayside. And then I show up appropriately on time for where I was going to go. It doesn't mean you just walk around milly nilly all the day.
Hmm.
It literally trusting this more and more. And that's why when you put yourself in situations such as like maybe having some type of daily routine, such as meditation or breath work, or whatever, over time, when you realize this feels good, it's no longer routine. Just like we wake up every day and we eat food,
Hmm.
right? What? Because you enjoy it. You drink coffee because you enjoy it. Like start to enjoy all these things. In the beginning, if you're at a certain place in your life and when you haven't experienced what we're talking about and you happen to be listening today, doing breath work and meditation can know that you actually through will can calm your body down. And once you do that, just like through will, I could put myself to a higher place in the building to see more of the city. But I have to get there. Then all of a sudden I realize, wow, I can change. I can go from the basement to the top of this building just by using a little bit of effort to get into an elevator, and the elevator takes care of it. But yet my perspective changes. But to try to see the whole city from the basement of the building, that will never work. So find out, why are you in the basement?
So when we use the basement analogy, we're talking about being stuck in the daily 3D life,
Yeah.
of I got to make this happen in order to experience this. When you're stuck in that mental narrative, these stories one after another, you can't zoom out and experience and see, the rooftop, see what's out there because you're so stuck in that character. So like when you start to move the attention from the mind and bring it to the heart, that now we're zooming out. Now we're able to have a better look on what's going on. We're getting out of the basement. We're going up to that second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh level where we can see out. And it's not a forcing. In fact, it's a letting go.
Yeah, that's what we're doing, is we're learning to let go. When we let go of everything, and that's why
With
utilizing
trust.
yeah. Yeah, because once you start to do it, you'll naturally trust. Because we trust. Trust is not something we have to work on, by the way.
Hmm.
We trust a lot. Like if you have doubt that this is going to work, it means you trust 100% that it's not going to work. That's a trust.
Hmm.
So we don't have to work on manifestation. We don't have to work on trust. But what am I putting my trust in? And what do I think a manifestation ought to be? Is we have to let go of those.
Yep.
Yeah, completely let go of those and watch the world open up. Your heart literally opens up and
We
the energy starts to flow. And all of a sudden, you flow to the natural states in which you came here to flow. You become the great actor or actress you meant to play in this role. And then you're getting the accolades from it.
we should talk about back how we started this episode, which is coming from a place of fun. So let's just think about what's fun in life. When you're really having fun, what's going on? Okay, so when I'm having fun, I'm not thinking. I'm not worried. I'm not thinking about what's to come or what needs to get done. I am in the present moment. Whenever I'm having fun, it's whatever's happening right now in this moment. Okay, so it's presence, it's lack of worry, lack of stress. What else is fun? How would you describe fun?
Well, just completely nothing pulling at you.
Hmm.
And that's the present moment. When you're in the present moment, that's pulling at you. But everyone's always in the present moment. But you could be in the present moment thinking about tomorrow or thinking about yesterday.
Hmm.
Um, but that's not fun. It starts to shut the energy field down. So what is fun? It's a natural flow of energy, and only can be recognized in the present moment. The only time everyone gets it every day, I don't care how crazy your mind is, when you're sleeping.
Hmm.
When you're sleeping, your body starts to flow naturally,
Yeah.
unless you don't get enough sleep. You don't clean everything out. But we start to actually get caught up in whatever you're doing. So if you sit there and don't like your job, why don't you like your job?
Mhm.
Why isn't it fun? Like, at some point you couldn't wait to get this job and now you don't like it. Or your relationship isn't going well. Why
Mhm.
isn't it going well? You obviously got into a relationship and it was going well when you got into it. What went right? What went wrong is your mind is solidifying the first time you met this person and how great it was because it was unknown. So if you're using the mind to drive the car, the mind can only take you in places you've been. There's no recollection of everything is known.
Mhm.
But there's something about the human condition that wants to experience the unknown. So you're trying to go around the same block over and over thinking it's going to be different. And that's the definition of insanity.
Mhm.
So we want to take the ego, the mind, and put it the in the back seat and have our higher mind
Yeah.
driving the vehicle because it will head out into directions that we've never been before.
And what does the higher mind know? It knows everything is working out. It's always working in my highest and best favor.
Yeah.
There is no fear of what's to happen because there's this knowing that it will work out, and whatever experiences come up, they're here to serve me. I'm here to learn from them. Here to grow
Yeah.
from them. And most importantly, you've now created this homeostasis in the body, this relaxed state, this neutrality, where now you're flowing with reality. Now you're flowing with this energy because there's this field around us. How do we send a text message? How do we link up our ear pods, to our phones? It's all happening through Bluetooth and in the waves, this reality around us. If we could see the different colors, we'd see, yeah, messages going back and forth. We'd see,
Yeah, that'd be weird.
yeah, the world interacting. There's so much going on that we can't see, but
Yeah.
we know is there. We know we're communicating through wireless devices and
Yeah,
all of this.
yeah. Think about that. Like when I'm traveling somewhere I have never been, I put the address into GPS that was awarded me to get to this place I've never experienced, and I fully trust the GPS when I get my car. It says make a right, I make a right. I
Mhm.
don't question it. Our higher mind is, a trillion times greater than the GPS on this phone. The way the engineers came up with the GPS on the phone was through what we call a fractal, a subsetting of how the universe obviously operates.
Actually works.
It
Yeah.
actually works. So once we start to let go of these beliefs of you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. Once you start letting go of it and just step into and see what happens, you start to elevate your frequency higher. All of a sudden, one day we won't need technology. Like one day I might be able to go to the top of Mount Everest and look out, and Mike could tap into my visual cortex and see what I'm seeing without any technology because we are the technology. The psychic ability is just enhancing your technology. And the more we let go of everything around us, come to the present moment, the more we heighten these psychic abilities. Again, anyone on the planet, if they took a little bit of time, can learn how to play piano.
Mm.
The goal isn't to become Chopin.
Yeah.
The goal is to take something you've never done before and become more familiar with it. And all of a sudden, now you're playing the piano without the act of comparison. All
Mhm.
right. So everyone could do what Mike and I are doing, or what a lot of people are doing. But to what degree? I don't know. I don't even know what degree I'm at with this
Mhm.
stuff. I can't measure it. Am
Well,
I?
as soon as we start to measure it, we lose it.
Well, we stop it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Or
exactly.
slow it down. We
And
don't really. Yeah. It's like
you know,
when I do this with my hand, I can't see, but I'll just have to release it. So I don't lose my eyesight. I just I obstruct it for a moment. So when we start to measure, we obstruct the advancement, right?
Mhm.
So we get better at stop measuring or measure a little less. So instead of weighing yourself, like people like trying to lose weight, weighing yourself every day is not suggested. Weighing yourself maybe once a week or once a month. You know, you okay. It shows you moving in the direction that you want to go in.
Mhm.
Now, those are still 3D type of stuff I'm talking about, but I'm giving you an example.
Yeah.
But when we stop measuring, all of a sudden life is great. A kid didn't know that that kid over there had a lot of money, didn't have a lot of money, what kind of background they did. They just went to the playground and became immense friends with them because they were both in this field. The field governs everything. So just like when I go onto a movie set, that's a field. It's governed. My wardrobe, whatever props I need are given to me when I get there. I don't need to bring them. Because imagine like I'm an actor and I want to play, I get awarded this role and I'm playing a billionaire. Now I get there and the director and the producer like, hey, in order to fulfill this role, you have to have like at least 3 billion in a bank account. I'm like, fuck, I don't have that. Sorry, can't have the role, because like it's called acting, people, So the world that we live in is a set. It's a movie set. If you realize you're on the stage, it's a big stage. It's a round stage. It's a never-ending stage. But as an actor, I want to fulfill this role completely. I want to stay present. I want to stay in the moment. I'm not worried about my next scene. I'm in this, and each moment scene leads to the next. And then I could co-create with the actors I'm with. And then all of a sudden, at the end of it, the experience was amazing.
Yeah.
And I still haven't watched the movie.
Well,
that's the thing is like when you see actors finish up, it's like, wow, that was good. Then they sit in the in the premiere and watch it, it's like, oh, wow. Like, I didn't even know we were doing that. Like,
watching it all come together. And that's like us at the end of our lives. And we're watching all of these different experiences that we had. And we realize, this was all here to help me realize my power, to help me realize what I really am, to remember who I am. That's what this is here for. Sticking with the narrative of the fun, the kid in the schoolyard, how we kind of kick this episode off. One of my favorite things Frank had shared with me was like, and this really like painted a good picture for me. But you're having fun, you go to the playground with kids at school, you come back, you're sitting at the dinner table, and your parents ask, did you have a good day? And you're like, oh, it was great. And they say, why? And all of a sudden you go, yeah, I don't know why.
Now you're forced to tell a story.
Yeah, now I've got to create a story.
Yeah.
So this is where it starts for us, is we start to create stories about why we felt a certain way. And so we say, well, it's because I was at the playground and I met, Billy, and I didn't have to go to school, or our first period was canceled because this happened. So I guess the reason I had a good time or had fun was because I met Billy and because the first period was canceled.
Yeah.
So now if the first period is not canceled the next day, it changes your story. And you're like, well, today can't be a good day because this is different from what I experienced as good yesterday. And so we take these stories and then we start to live by them.
Yeah, and they come in prison too. Now we call in sick.
Yeah.
But Billy's still in school, so I can't hang out with Billy.
Yeah.
So whoever's out there listening, like just take today and what fun can you have? All right, like if you're really really restricted in your life and you're aware of that, that's a great thing, being aware of it, because that helps loosen up. But is there an area, is it after work, before work, where there's nothing pulling at you? All right, where there's not going to be any harm done to you? Just go and do something without any expectation. And notice when you go in there, notice your mind. Your mind is always running a program of expectation. You walk into a store and you see people, I'm like, why is that person pushing that thing? I'm like, all of a sudden just stop and like, oh my God, I can't believe my mind is running on freaking, it just keeps running.
Always classifying,
just the
always
awareness
judging.
of that, you'll start to laugh. You'll start to have fun with this thing. Don't get upset at you because you're judging people in your mind, because it's your mind doing it, because the thoughts that are coming in judgment actually aren't yours. They're society's. So even though it passes in, and then just notice, like, oh my God, I was just judged the hell out of that person. And you start to laugh at it. All of a sudden, that is the great awakening. It's nothing more magnificent than that. Like we think it's got like the clouds open up, the sun comes up, and God speaks to us. I'm like, God speaks to us in whispers. Like he's like, when I laugh, like, I can't believe I thought that, that opens up my heart and I feel better. And like, oh my God. Just noticing I was judging changed everything. I had fun with it. So have fun with it. Like sit down and notice the freaking monkey in your brain. Like
Yep.
notice it, like
Monkey
throwing
mind's a real
bananas and
thing.
shit.
Yep.
But when you notice it, it's actually fun. Like imagine yourself sitting in the jungle and you just sit on a tree, like sit at the base of a tree and lean back and stick your head up and just imagine these monkeys going by. It's entertaining. But if you had to chase those monkeys, can you imagine you had to chase them and catch them?
Oh, that's what we're doing on a
You'd be
daily basis. That's why we're
exhausted.
so tired.
Yeah, no, just sit back and watch the monkey. Don't stop the monkeys. Don't be like, hey, you monkeys, stop trying to relax. No, I'm relaxing watching the monkeys, eating some popcorn here. And all of a sudden you're starting to have fun. And then you notice how life starts to unfold in the present moment. It literally unfolds. I don't need to manifest anything. The manifestation's already here. But as I'm leveling up, if I'm, the analogy I've always used, you got a building with a basement, and then say the building's 50 stories. As I make my way up naturally up the elevator and I step out on any particular floor, everything that's on that floor is already there. I don't have to fill the elevator. Like if I leave the fourth floor to go to the 20th floor, I don't take everything on the fourth floor to the 20th floor. For one reason is the fourth floor stuff is the fourth floor stuff.
Mhm.
Then when I get in the elevator, I go to the 20th story. The furniture is different there. The
Mhm.
view is certainly different there. Everything is there. But what happens is I'm like, I can't fit all the shit in the elevator, so I'm going to stay on the fourth floor. So what happens, you make a prison out of the fourth floor where it wasn't meant to be a prison. It was meant to enjoy and then to let go of.
And you become afraid to go beyond the fourth floor
Well, you
because the
can't
fourth
because
floor
you
feels
think the
comfortable.
20th floor doesn't have anything. You know the fourth floor has furniture, has a couch, has a TV. But if I head out into I go up there and it could be a complete void on the 20th floor. I'm like, well, how do you know that?
Mhm. Same reason,
Yeah,
when people think they're not worthy for a certain experience, or I'm not good enough.
yeah.
I haven't earned that. What do you mean?
You wouldn't be there if you haven't earned it. I heard somebody talking about that. Like I was here, I didn't deserve to be here, and I'm like,
You
that's just a
wouldn't be there.
story. You wouldn't be there if you didn't deserve to be there. Like what? Who indicates deservability
Mhm.
as an individual? Like no,
You.
like yeah. I'm like some people. There might be a criteria. Everyone here went through this criteria, but I didn't. I made it up here. I'm like, you don't deserve to be here. So can you imagine like any musician like came along and like, you know, like obviously before Mozart, you didn't see a lot, but Mozart came out knowing how to play piano at 3 years old. Wrote his first conducted or
Symphony
his
or whatever.
composition at 8 years old.
Holy
Right.
shit.
It wasn't that he wasn't additionally taught how to play piano and have a teacher and stuff like that. He just naturally came out. So someone would say, well, he doesn't deserve it because he didn't go through the 20 years of rigorous bleeding from the fingers and the piano teacher with the yardstick hit me in the hand because I didn't
Mhm.
play that right chord. He didn't have to go through that. So he doesn't deserve to be here. I'm like, no,
Says who?
his music that he plucked out of the universe is the indication.
Mhm.
And stop comparing like what I had to go through to get to this thing.
Mhm.
Some people had to go through a lot. Some people just came to them. If you're a millionaire and you're born into it, who cares? But if you had to struggle for them, like I deserve it better. I'm like, well, that's just a story to telling yourself that. But when you're sitting at this level where everyone's here, how you got there, that could be the fun of the party, by the way.
Mhm.
Like telling the story how you got there. I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." Like, "How'd you get here?" I'm like, "Ah, I was born here." Like, I was here. It's like, "Holy shit, I was born in the damn basement." I'm like, "What's it like down there?" And all of a sudden, now the guy that was born on the 20th story with the silver spoon in his mouth is more interested in the basement because he's like, "Really? Can you take me down there one time?" Like, "I don't know if you're ready." You freaking gotta get rid of that silver spoon. Like, "I think I'm ready." And then life becomes exciting for the guy who never been to the basement.
That's what's so interesting
That's the
about this
beauty of this life.
experience.
That's why there's really no bad experiences. And when you're having a bad experience, ask yourself, why is this bad? Examine it. Don't brush it off. Don't try to create some positive spin on it because that will just beat you up. But examine it. Like, why? What about this is bothering me? When you
Mhm.
start to examine it, just witnessing it, it starts to loosen up and you realize your heart opens up. You realize, wow, yeah, when this thing happened, it hurt because I had a set of beliefs that this shouldn't have happened. But now it's like, I don't unremember it. I remember it, but the hold on that it has on me no longer has. So if you stole something, you got thrown in jail, but you did your time. You don't remember, you don't forget that you stole something. but you've done your time. Let go of the prison.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And then you learn something. Don't steal again.
Mm-hmm.
If you do a better job at
I
it. Wear a
love that.
mask.
The, it's funny because as we navigate through life, you'll start to see that the more you allow yourself to have fun with it is like the moment that the moment that you're stepping into the role you were meant to play.
And you come back to the childlike state. And if anyone, like Jesus mentioned about that, and as I, when I was young and I heard that, it was just a weird phrase, whatever. Now I fully understand it. The childlike state is the unknowing, the knowing. Like I knew to head towards the playground for some reason. It drew me in.
Mm-hmm.
I knew, but I didn't know what was going to be there.
Or what would happen that
So
day.
yeah, so we give you this challenge, and I love challenges. Take a moment in the day or the whole day if you have the day off, or if you want to go for it, just even do it on a day that's not you're working. Just let go of every concept and idea. And when the concepts and ideas pop off, just let them blow by. Let them roll out. Don't get upset because it came to you. Don't get upset because you got caught in it. Just witnessing it. And then notice at the end of the day how great day was. And all of a sudden you come home, it's like, oh, how was it? Oh my God, it was really interesting. What happened? Well, Jared at work was still an asshole, but I didn't let it bother me. You know, like the circumstances don't really change all that often in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
but the way you look at them, like, like an athlete, like say like me for when I used to box. When I first boxed, I get hit a lot, but after a while, the opponent, say I got in the ring and the guy threw 50 punches in one round. Well, when I first started, I got hit with 45 of those. Hopefully, as time went on, I got hit with about 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm getting better at this, but they're still coming, but I'm learning how to move better. And this is the 3-dimensional world we're in. We're in the world, but not of it. So remember that part that's not of it is that when you step back and look at this, it makes it easier for an actor to win the Oscar, knowing that this isn't who they are, but I'm going to fully immerse myself in it. And when I do that, my God, it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I was playing a homeless person, it's great. And then that's when the mind and the heart are fully connected. All right. And
That's
if
where the
anyone out
magic
there,
happens.
you want to know how that experience is, there's physical things you can do. One of them is like this breathing technique where you're breathing really slow and deep, starting from filling up your lower belly, up to your abdomen, up onto your chest, and then you hold it. And then you squeeze your pelvic floor muscle, you squeeze your lower abs, you squeeze your upper abs, you even squeeze your back, and the praise sign, you can squeeze in this way. And you hold that breath at the top, but hold it in your body, not your throat. Like hold it here. And all of a sudden you squeeze. And what happens is you're moving spinal fluid up your column. And because it's moving there, it creates an electromagnetic field. And as that field enters up and you put your attention, wherever your attention goes, the energy flows. Put your attention to your third eye at the top of your head. And all of a sudden you'll feel this pressure in your brain. Don't worry, you won't die of an aneurysm. All of a sudden it starts to bust and your pineal gland starts to activate. And all of a sudden when you breathe out, your heart opens up. If you do that 5 or 6 times, you'll know what it feels like without any circumstance attached to it other than the will of you breathing in. And then I was like, okay, now I know what this feels like. Let me keep this feeling as I step out to the world and go to work. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, I noticed my heart's closing down because Sally said something. Okay, take a deep breath and let go. All right, Sally's still talking, but it's not bothering me. You notice I can mitigate the way I feel in my body. And then the purpose of all this is I want my body to be at its highest frequency in order to express something new. So in the beginning, the work might be, if you had broken a leg and you had the cast on for 8 weeks, yeah, before you get out on the soccer field or whatever, you have to rehab it. But once a year goes by, you forgot about the broken leg. We want to get past the broken leg period to get into the place where we're actually experiencing the field in which we want to come in. So in the beginning, it could seem like I'm just getting over a broken leg. There's nothing wrong with that. That in itself is a journey. And we don't want to pass by that journey because if I can't do it now, I'm never going to do it now. So now what happens? You never go to rehab and you're limping around for the rest of your life, even though the leg's not broken.
Mm-hmm.
the broken leg is healed, but I'm limping. Like, no, push through it, push through it. In the beginning, it's going to seem that way. And after a while, it's like, holy shit. Musicians that have been doing it for a while no longer practice. They just simply play, but they started out practicing, right? And we're like, oh, they're in there practicing. No, they're playing now. There's a difference. So I still meditate, I still breathe, but I'm playing, I'm not practicing. So now life is a play for me. And that's the brilliance of it.
See, that's a great way to describe this experience.
Yeah.
I think if we can lead this episode with anything, it's to allow yourself to have fun, real fun. And to allow yourself to have that experience, we have to let go of all the stories. We have to let go of, the mind chatter, all the self-talk. We have to walk freely into the unknown saying, whatever this is going to be great. The same way we used to walk onto that playground, back when we were kids. And that childlike state, it's all still within us. It's just buried with story after story, condition after condition that has been shared with us from our family, friends, parents, teachers, you name it, where we take on everybody's thoughts and everybody's stories. And we're trying to navigate this world with all of these stories, and that doesn't work because this person told me that, and I can't do this because my teacher said this would never work, rather than living from the quantum state, the state of, I don't know how this works, but I'm going to move forward. And it's in that we see miracles happen. It's in that the magic is really present. And from there, we start to live from this space. We start to live from the heart, and it's living from this unknown feeling. This is where we really begin to experience life.
Yeah. So everyone out there that's listening, just start your day and say, I'm going to have fun today. All right. And don't give it what it has to be. And if you're type of these people that need to write stuff down, you're very analytical, that's fine. Put 12 o'clock, have fun, something, or somewhere in there, have fun. You can add, have fun, have a business meeting and have fun. And what happens is when you go to read it, you'll actually laugh because it brings you to the present moment. That's what we're talking about, right? Because I had fun with my friends just sitting on a curb, as little kids, talking about baseball players that we knew very little about, but we thought we knew everything about. And 5 hours went by.
Yep.
It was just simple stuff. So you can learn how to have fun in a board meeting. You could have fun in traffic. But just remember, just the word fun. When someone says smile, people's lips, there's physiology connected. What happens is the more we get used to feeling good, it is easier to feel good. Most of us were taught how to feel bad, so we're naturally in a state of feeling bad in the subconscious level. So during the conscious moments of our life, when I learn to breathe more efficiently, when I'm unconscious, my body breathes more efficiently. So when I'm sleeping, I'm unconscious. But my body now breathes better. So actually turns out I need less sleep. And that's not my goal, by the way. But I wake up wide awake because during my conscious time, I took time to breathe in, and then that translates into the unconscious. So it's what we call creating new habits. The habit here is keeping the body in a calm, exhilarated state. And then watch what unfolds. Now you go from the 4th story to the 20th story. That's how the magic happens.
Oh, yeah.
I don't need the 20th story. I just end up there. And then I'm like, wow, this is interesting. And but the second I get to the 20th story, I'm not trying to get to the 50th. I'm like, I'm going to examine this 20th story. And go there. And sometimes I might go down the fourth floor. Hey, dude, you ever been to the 20th? You got to go.
It's great.
It's crazy, because part of this journey too is a great actor always helps other actors. That's how you know they're great. They actually make the other actors great. And that's our job.
That's it.
Our job is to be pulled by great actors, learn from great actors, and then share that and watch this dance. It's beautiful. Life is a dance. All right. Not a mosh pit. Sometimes it feels like a mosh pit.
It can feel that way.
It can feel that way. But when you start to dance, you don't get hit. But when you're banging into each other, it kind of hurts. But then you learn. Step back from the mosh pit. Go back to jumping the head. The mosh pit could be 10 feet from you. It doesn't matter. I'm not involved in it.
You're aware of the mosh pit. You're not denying the mosh pit, but you don't have to participate.
And you're bobbing like this, and all of a sudden, oh man, look at these guys, they're bleeding.
Mhm.
They get knocked out. Holy shit.
I'm
Yeah,
aware of all
I'm
this
aware as I'm bobbing.
political bullshit that's going
Yeah.
on and how divisive the world is and blah blah blah. All the stories I'm told to believe. I'm not ignorant to it. I'm aware of it. But do I have to participate? Absolutely
No,
not.
no, just dance your dance, because you came here to dance a particular dance, and don't, and this is how the universe expands.
That's exactly it. We're
Stop,
always evolving. We're always growing.
yeah, don't worry about somebody else's dance. And what happens after a while, it becomes what we call a line dance, and everyone starts dancing in the field, right? It's like you go to these concerts and everyone's bopping at the same level. It's just the most amazing thing, you know. But start with your own field in here, connect the mind to the body, to the heart,
Mhm.
and then head out into the world. And if the mind takes over, just noticing it, know that's connecting it back to the heart.
And when you're coming from that space, with the
Yeah.
intention of entering the unknown, yeah, with the intention of having fun, with the intention of maintaining this neutral, doesn't matter if it happens, doesn't matter if it does, state. This is where you'll start to see the magic happen.
Yep.
So thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode. This was awesome doing another live with you. This is our second Perspective Shift live. We're going to be back every Monday, the first Monday of every month, to do a live episode. This just gives you guys a chance to come on in, chat with us one-on-one, send in any questions, and just kind of enjoy the live experience. We'll be uploading this to all of our channels after every live episode. So if you're not able to be at the live event, you can at least still capture it, on your drive to work or whenever you're checking out your Perspective Shift.
Yeah. Remember, have fun with your magic.
Yeah.
Because you are magical.
I love it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.
All right. Much love and peace out.
Thanks, guys.